Welcome to Horror Boys. It's a podcast on the internet. I'm Austin, joined as always by
Chris.
And we are the Horror Boys. And this isn't any old podcast on this old internet. No, my friends. This is a podcast on the internet. Wait, no.
Hold on.
We're going to talk about horror television. It's what we've always talked about. You can ignore the logo in the bottom left corner if you're watching this on the video format. Yeah, no. As if this is your first episode, normally we talk about horror movies, but, you know, right now we're talking about the Chucky TV show, so for this week plus two more, we're going to talk about Chucky, the TV show. We're in season 2. Today we're going to be talking about episodes 3 and 4. And let's jump right into episode 3 talk with, like, the name of it. Episode 3 is called Hail Mary. It's directed by Samir Rahem. It's written by Nick Ziegler and Rachel Paradis. It's created for TV by Don Mancini, produced by David Kirshner. This is all we all know these names. Yeah, composer Joseph LaDuca, director of photography Christopher Seuss. Is how I'm still guessing his last name is pronounced.
Probably,
yeah. Production designer is John Donterman. Or Dontertman. I might have pronounced that slightly wrong. I'm sorry. John. Our special effects makeup is by Tim Phoenix and Jake Porth. Our animatronic characters and effects are by Tony Gardner and Alterian Inc. And our 5 other returning puppeteers are Peter A. Chavaco, Pamela Ivetta, Steve Newbern, Gord Robertson, and Mark Hunter.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the people. Those are the people who make the show happen. Plus a ton more that I didn't mention, but those are the ones that I chose to mention. We open the episode with Father Bryce asking Jake, "Where's the doll?" Father Bryce is played by Devon Sawa. Jake is played by Zachary Arthur. If you want to know more about either of them, they've been on the show since season 1, so go back to those episodes, the first episode.
Yeah.
I already read that. Jake says he doesn't know where the doll is. Father Bryce says it would be easy to punish him and find proof, but he wants Jake to have the chance to do the right thing.
He's the right thing.
Yeah.
So big of him.
Yeah. Jake heads upstairs to him and Devon's room and joins Devon, Lexi, and Nadine. Devon is played by Bjorgvin Arneson. Lexi is played by Olivia Allen Lynn. And Nadine is played by Bella Higginbotham. Jake asks Lexi if she's found out anything about their hostage scout Chucky. And she's found a bunch of bad selfies and the name The Colonel. What could that mean?
I have a feeling we'll find out later in the episode.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would have been, honestly, when I watched this, realized that that's what we figured out, but in an interview with Tony Gardner, it is confirmed that, yes, that is the Colonel.
Yeah, that's kind of what I guessed when I saw him.
That's fair. I don't think my brain connected that when I first saw the thing we're alluding to that will come later in this episode. Jake and Devon start to try and torture Chucky while Lexi starts to go through some withdrawal symptoms. Nadine notices her right now going through this. Devon stabs Chucky's knife into Chucky's fingertip. But Chucky just laughs it off because he's a sick little freak.
He sure is.
Lost my place somehow, even though we're on the first page. You'd think I would, take at least a few pages in before I lose my place. But not always.
That's right. Well, that's what's special about this podcast.
Chucky is voiced by national treasure Brad Dourif. Right. Devon wants to just kill him before he kills them. Jake says they need him, and he's their best bet to figuring out what they're up against. Jake grabs Chucky by the head and puts the knife up to his eye, and asks, "How many of you are there?" Chucky replies, "You know, if you're gonna pull my hair, at least tell me I'm pretty." Yeah. We head to our title card, made up of crosses and crucifix this time around.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact about this little title sequence, they changed up the theme song a little bit. This time it's kind of like vocalized by like a church choir.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We head...
Catholic.
Sorry?
I said, because we're in a Catholic school.
Yeah, it's
didn't catch that somehow.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I guess we did say Father Bryce. You might think that's someone's father.
I guess it'd be a little bit weird to say Father Bryce.
It would be. But yeah, no, he is a Catholic minister, priest. I don't know where. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. We head to Sister Catherine's religious art class, I guess is what it is, because the second time we've had completely different religious art in it. Sister Catherine is played by Andrea Carter. This class, they discuss Salvador Dali's painting Christ of St. John of the Cross.
Yeah.
That's about it. They kind of go over it. After class, Sister Catherine asks Jake, "How's Devin? I heard he was sick." Jake says, "It's just a cold. I'm sure he'll be okay." Sister Catherine says, "Of course, but sometimes when we're overcome with guilt or sadness, we can make ourselves sick. And if that's ever the case, I'm always here to talk." She asks him if he wants to talk about his foster brother. He tells her there's more to it than what everyone thinks. "I don't think I'm ever going to be able to forgive myself."
Yeah, which, if you don't know what happened exactly, but sounds suspicious.
A little bit, yeah, I guess it's fair. She says something in response. I just gotta find it on my page. She replies, "Jake, for what it's worth, in my experience, sometimes in order to forgive ourselves, first we have to forgive those who have sinned against us."
Yeah.
We head to Lexi in the hall, taking one of her mom's pills. She's caught by Trevor, played by Jordan Cronus. He asks her what pills she has, and she says allergies. "I'm allergic to hay, pet dander, and nosy people." Trevor says that's funny. "You know what else is funny?" Lexi responds rhetorical questions. Trevor continues, "Students can't keep their own medicine. It's all locked up in the infirmary." Lexi says hilarious, "See you later," and leaves. But Trevor follows, saying, "Ativan? Clonazepam? Yep. I saw your mom's name on the bottle. How is Mare Cross, by the way?" Lexi says, "I wouldn't know." And Trevor says, "Right, well, maybe I should call her former Mare Cross."
That's right.
Which, to be fair, she already was former Mare Cross, but we do also find out as he continues. Because she just lost the election. He also adds, I normally just keep reading, but I got distracted by myself there. "I was crushed when I heard the news too. You know, you should really be more careful around here. This place is strict when it comes to drugs. If someone thought you were using, well, you'd probably be stuck here until you turn 18. Just like me." Lexi says, "Thanks for the warning," and leaves upstairs. Speaking of upstairs, Chucky complains about the dirty socks used to gag as a gag for him. And Devin tells him, "Don't worry, won't be a problem for you much longer." And Chucky responds, "Oh, I get it. Big man gonna do a whittle murder." And that was actually a whittle. That was what he actually says, not little.
Yeah, he doesn't even really say murder. He says he's gonna do a whittle murder.
Yeah, he does. But, you know,
yeah,
I guess they didn't know how to write that in the...
you know, M-U-W-D-E-W.
Yeah, they didn't know how to figure that one out when it came to the closed captions.
Murder.
And then he laughs and continues, "You don't have what it takes. Zero killer instinct. And trust me, I should know." And Devin says, "Shut up. Shut up, Chucky." Chucky continues, "No, really, I'm like the MVP of serial murder. I've killed more people than you have Insta followers." Devin tells him to shut up, and Chucky bites him when he tries to re-gag him. Chucky says, "You think you can mess with me? I killed your mother. Hell, I even killed my own mother." And then Devin grabs the knife and is about to stab him when Jake comes in and asks what he's doing. And Devin responds, we need to talk. And we head to Nadine, who is asking Father O'Malley to let her confess in the sanctuary, or I guess chapel is the term they used later, so maybe that's what the term is. I don't know. I don't know Catholicism. I'm not Catholic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, how dare you not be Catholic? Probably for the
Yeah, he tries to brush her off completely, but agrees to let her confess tomorrow because, he doesn't want to deal with her. That's the gist of this little scene. It's funny. It's cute, but none
apparently
of the
Nadine's confessions are lengthy.
Yeah, 20 to 45 minutes is what she was asking for time-wise. Father O'Malley is played by Ian D. Clarke of... There's no way it was just... I missed a word here. Oh, crap. He's in a movie, and we'll just say that. It was one of the ones where I was going to talk about who he was in the movie with, but...
he was in a movie, guys.
It was in a movie that has the word murder in it, but I'm sure it's not just called Murder. But that's what I wrote.
Maybe it was.
I mean, hey, maybe it is. If you want to look up Ian D. Clarke, he's in a movie with Tom Butler, who was also in Freddy vs. Jason. He's a Horror Boy alum that he was in this movie with. Murder something. Or something murder. I don't know which, and I'm sorry.
Or just murder. We don't know.
I'm almost certain it's not just murder.
You don't know that.
I kind of remember it being something that wasn't just murder. Dang it, Austin, your notes. Alright. Back upstairs, Devin tells Jake we should kill him while we have the chance before anyone gets hurt. He's never going to tell us anything. Jake responds, if we can't figure out his plan, we're sitting ducks. Devin says, you can't torture a sadist. Jake says, no. Alright. Wait, what? Jake says, no. Alright? That's it. I had to figure out the cadence there to make that sentence make sense. I'm not giving up. Devin says, look, it's not in his DNA. If you wanted him to talk, you'd have to completely reprogram him. And Jake says, wait, reprogram him? Like brainwashing? Yeah, wait, let's try that. Devin says, I wasn't being serious. You can't reprogram Chucky's brain. Jake replies, why not? I mean, it might work, and I bet you know how to do it because you were super into that one podcast on MK Ultra. Which, to be fair, Devin does not even be into the podcast, but let's say he is. Just because you listen to a podcast does not mean you understand how to...
No, it makes you an expert. Everyone knows that's how podcast works.
So that's true. If you want to be an expert on horror movies, please listen to our podcast.
Yeah. Become horror aficionados.
Yeah. Jake continues, I'm going to tell Lexi and Nadine we're starting tonight. We head to 1048 when the girls arrive. Jake says, man, it took you guys long enough. Nadine says, I brought everything I could find. Lexi tries to explain, I wanted to make sure Sister Ruth didn't catch us sneaking out. She's clenched tighter than... Jake cuts her off with, okay, well, you're here now. And Lexi says, oh, okay. How was my day? Easily my lifetime top 5 worst. Trevor is a total psycho. She then realizes that Devin and Jake are ignoring her. And she says, never mind. Aww.
Don't say it.
Poor Lexi.
Being left out of the family.
Yeah. Nadine says, so I know we're here to plume, is how she says it, the depths of the human psyche, but I just want to say I'm really excited. I've never been to a sleepover with boys before. or girls.
Or girls.
I love Nadine.
So wholesome.
Yes. Devin says, "This is crazy. How do we even know if he can be broken?" And Jake says, "Look, if Chucky's taught me anything, it's that anyone can be broken. Let's do it." So they start. Phase 1, which is sensory overload, which consists of heavy music and like horror movie clips, including John Carpenter's The Thing. There's also other footage that I couldn't recognize, but I definitely saw footage that I was like, oh, that's The Thing.
And then coupled in with that, they also do the water drip torture.
Yeah. Because at first he's just laughing it off. Then, Devin has the water drip on Chucky's face in what's known as Chinese water torture, even though it's credited to an Italian lawyer in the 15th century.
Interesting.
Yeah. I looked into it.
Very reminiscent of A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the inspiration here. Because his eyes are being held open. We forgot to mention that. Like, it's definitely
with bobby pins.
Yes. Well, that's what they had. Okay. Eventually, it seemed. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, you make do.
Yeah. Eventually, it seems to work as Chucky vomits in repulsion to the clips. Devin explains that it's called aversion, and the thought of violence is actually making him sick. It's now time for stage 2. I decided to make that more dramatic. Where they have Nadine set up a cute unicorn show. Chucky says, "Aunt Maggie, Chucky wants to watch the 9 o'clock news," which is a reference to the original Child's Play.
Yeah.
At the site of the unicorn show, Chucky vomits again. In the morning, when the phone dies, Jake wakes everyone up because, in a cheery voice, Chucky says, "Hey, I like to be hugged. Hi, I'm Chucky." Not quite like, it's not, I want to make sure it's clear. It's not like good guy doll voice. It's Brad Dourif doing like a cuter Chucky voice, and it's amazing and it's perfect.
It is very sweet and wholesome.
He says, "Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play?" Chucky asks who they are. And Jake asks, "Are you ready to answer our questions?" And Chucky says, "Sure." But his answers to Jake's questions is, "I don't know."
I don't know.
Yeah, to all of them. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know. Chucky adds, "Boy, I sure am sorry." And Lexi says, "We didn't brainwash him. We brain bleached him." And Jake says, "Maybe he needs more time." And Devin says, "Needs more time? Listen to yourself. That's Chucky. And he's playing us. This whole thing is just an act." Chucky pops out in front of Jake, scaring everyone. He then proceeds to tie Jake's shoe, saying, "Oh, that's better." Devin asks who untied him, and Chucky replies, "Oh, the ropes came loose during My Little Pony, but I didn't want to bother anyone. I'm hungry." It's just, a cute, good Chucky is just adorable.
Yeah.
And most people, well, especially Nadine to start, also finds him just adorable.
It's understandable.
Because he is adorable.
Yeah.
And after he says he's hungry, Nadine says, "Aw, it must be from all the vomiting." Which, fair.
Good point. Yeah.
Devin says, "You guys aren't actually buying this. We're talking about a knife-wielding, murder-happy sociopath. You know what? I'm done." And he storms off. Jake asks Lexi to watch Chucky so he can go after Devin. She says she can't. But Nadine offers to watch him because she's really good at babysitting. Jake says, "Oh, no, Nadine." And she says, "No need to worry about me. I took 4 years of Krav Maga. Plus, I got this knife."
She's got a really cool knife. Yeah, but she doesn't say really cool.
She pulls a 11 from Stranger Things and says, the thing she said in season 2. I don't remember which season of Stranger Things. I think it's season 2.
Yeah.
She says a bad word, guys.
She does.
But it's adorable because Nadine is just an adorable character.
Yeah.
And then Lexi asks, "Who are you?" And Nadine shrugs and just chuckles. And then Lexi and Jake leave. Jake catches up with Devin on the stairs and asks to talk. Devin says there's nothing to talk about. The only safe Chucky is one that's been killed, cut into pieces, and burned. And even that's not a sure thing. If you keep him around, someone's gonna end up dead. You know, I mean, fair.
Yeah.
Jake asks, what if we really changed him? What if he can help us? Devin says, what if he kills you, Jake? What am I supposed to do then?
That's a valid point.
Yeah. Jake says, Devin, look, I need this. I need to try and do it a different way. Because all I feel is guilt. All the time. And I don't know how much more I can take. If I really want to forgive myself, I have to be able to forgive him. First. Sorry. Devin says, this is a mistake. I can't lie to you. I can't tell you this is right. Jake says, just promise me for now you won't do anything to Chucky, okay? And Devin says, I promise. They hug and then share a kiss. Aww. Oh no, as Father Bryce looks on. No!
Oh my God, no!
And Father Bryce is thinking to himself, gosh darn Rainbow Cult got into Chucky. Which, if you don't get that reference, it's a reference to the fact that there was a stupid comment on Shudder where someone complained about, this show having gay characters and called it the Rainbow Cult getting to Chucky, even though Chucky was created by an openly gay man who has been putting gay characters into this franchise since 1998.
Yeah. And almost
24 years, as we'll establish in a later scene that doesn't actually quite make sense, but that's the next episode. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now that I'm mad about that, Father Bryce saw it. He sees the kiss. Oh no. We head to Lexi trying to sneak into the infirmary to steal some drugs, but the nurse, who is Sister Ruth, is there. So Lexi says she needs an aspirin for a headache. So Sister Ruth gives her one and is played by Laura Jean Chorostecki, I believe, or probably pronounced it completely wrong.
Maybe.
Yeah. In the hall, Trevor tells Lexi, just thinking about our talk from yesterday, I'm so worried about you. First I find out you have a drug problem, and now you're scoping the infirmary? Lexi asks, what do you want, Trevor? And Trevor replies, I just want to help you. I couldn't tell what word I wrote there. I've learned...
He just...
He just really took a big pause there. I just forgot to mention that. Yeah, it was a huge pause.
No, it was on the show.
Yeah,
I remember.
Want to help you. I've learned so much in here, thanks to you and your mom. Learned that if you want to survive in a place like this, you have to put your faith in a higher power. Lexi responds, thanks.
I'm good.
Yeah, but no thanks. Not really in the market for... And Trevor continues, I'm your higher power, and if you don't learn that quickly, I'll make this place a living hell for you, too. Lexi says, listen, I'm sorry for my part in sending you here. I've been a bully, too. I know what it feels like to go around screwed up on anger and insecurity and fear and then take it out on everyone else. But I'm not like that anymore, and you don't have to be either. And Trevor says, now who's preaching? Which, it was a little preachy there at the end there, Lexi. Lexi tells him, don't do this. Trevor says, I own you now. You think this place is bad? You screw up and I'll show you how much worse it can get. Sister Ruth enters the hall, and Lexi says, no, Trevor, I don't know where you can get condoms. Lexi then whispers, nice try, but if it makes you feel better, my situation here couldn't possibly get worse. And then leaves him to get in trouble. And then we cut outside to a USX truck showing up with a familiar-sized box.
Too many familiar-sized boxes.
I guess it could get worse here. Dun dun dun. Upstairs, Father Bryce catches Devin before he goes in his room, not being sick. Father Bryce says maybe Devin's just feeling guilty for someone else's actions and takes him to the chapel. We head to Nadine telling Chucky about her cat, Mr. Pasta. It's a cute little Nadine and Chucky scene because, both of them are just adorable characters. Because this is good Chucky, by the way. If you don't remember, if you weren't paying attention 5 minutes ago, you tuned out.
ADHD is a real thing.
It's true. Trust me, that's why it took me 9 hours to do these stupid notes. What? Moving on. I'm talking about Mr. Pot. When Lexi and Jake come back, Jake gives Chucky an apple, and they all think he's really cute eating it. Jake asks, where's Devin? And Nadine says he never came back. Jake has a class, so he asks Nadine to watch Chucky again, but she can't because she also has a class. So after some convincing, Lexi agrees to watch Chucky. Nadine asks, so about later, what's the plan here? Father Bryce said that if we don't have the doll back on his desk by the end of the day, then there's going to be trouble. I only say that because I'm supposed to stop getting in trouble. Jake replies, well, Father Bryce can screw himself. Ooh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. How edgy.
Yeah, I can't remember if he actually says screw himself or says something worse.
I think he does.
I think he does, yeah. You never know in this show, because sometimes this might just be me, censoring them. But it might also be that. I think he does say screw himself. Jake and Nadine leave. Jake finds Devin polishing the metal stuff. There's cups. There's the thing that they hang the incense in. I don't know Catholic things. It's all the metal. There's some crosses later. He's polishing metal.
Yeah.
And Devin explains that Father Bryce sentenced him to hard labor till Chucky's returned. Devin tells Jake, you're not the only one going through hell, Jake, and every minute you keep Chucky around is another minute we have to suffer. Jake says, look, I'm sorry. I'm going to fix this. I promise. And leaves. Excuse me. Upstairs. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know why I said that, but I did. It was more just to give myself a point because I've lost my place. So I was going dun, dun, dun. But now I'm explaining it, which defeats the whole point of it.
Yes.
You understand. Dun, dun, dun. Upstairs, Chucky and Chucky asks Lexi where dolls come from. And she tells him that's a good question. No idea where you keep coming from. Chucky rattles off the questions. What's your favorite class? How do you get your hair so shiny? Do you have a cat? And lastly, the important question here, do you have a boyfriend? Lexi did reply to all their questions, but we're skipping to her reply to the last question. Lexi replies, I did have a boyfriend once. Chucky asks, was he nice? What was his name? Lexi replies, Junior. He was the sweetest. Chucky says, Junior? I like that name. And then singing repeats Junior over and over. Lexi gets freaked out and leaves Chucky. That's not good. You can't leave Chucky.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good Chucky, so maybe you can't leave him. Actually, I take it back. You can leave him. It's fine. We head to Nadine in the confessional, where Nadine tells Father O'Malley that she thinks Lexi is addicted to drugs. Actually, she knows it. Her mom was an addict, and she recognizes the signs, and this time she won't ignore them. While Nadine goes on about Trevor, and then about how Chucky's alive, Chucky chokes out Father O'Malley with some rosary beads, breaking them, sending them spilling out of the confessional. And it's a really cool shot as they fall on the ground.
Yeah.
Also killing Father O'Malley with the choking. It's not just, he's dead.
Yes.
Chucky pretends to be Father O'Malley and gives Nadine the penance of 400 Hail Marys. Hail Marys.
Hail Malleys.
Hail O'Malleys. He gives her 400 Hail Marys, which Nadine thinks is a little high, but he's the expert on forgiveness, so.
Yeah.
Nadine steals some of the beads outside before leaving. I don't know if it's actually. I honestly don't know if that ever becomes important, but I wrote it down in case it does. We cut between. Sorry.
Feel like it would be significant.
It feels like it would be, but also Nadine's just a klepto, so who knows?
Yeah.
We cut between Nadine saying her Hail Marys, heading upstairs, Lexi losing her last pill down a drain in the bathroom, and Devin polishing, metal. Nadine enters Jake and Devin's room and finds no Lexi or Chucky, and she runs out. We head to the faculty lounge, where Sister Catherine disagrees with Father Bryce punishing Devin with no proof. Jake comes in and says, "You can't do this to Devin because he's done nothing wrong. He has nothing to do with this." And Father Bryce replies, "Our sins often hurt the people around us more than they hurt us. Sister Catherine knows all about that." I don't know what that means. So maybe we'll find out. It sounds like a line that means we should find out, I would assume.
Yeah.
But yeah. Nadine finds Lexi in the bathroom and asks her, "Do you want to talk or not talk about it?" Lexi comes out of the stall and says, It's not just this bad day. It's a lot of bad days. And I'm doing my best to keep it all together because that's what's expected of me. Cool, chill, funny, exceptionally good looking, well-dressed Lexi. That's her saying that. I want to make sure that's clear. The actress is 14, and I do not feel that way, but that is what the character literally says. I want to make sure to clear that up. Don't want any backlash here. I'm literally quoting her directly in this monologue. But inside I'm drowning. Everything is up to here, and I'm doing my best to stay afloat, but it's impossible. And I hate when Jake and Devin fight. And I hate that my mom can't just be normal. And I hate Trevor and his dumb face. And oh, I hate that doll. Nadine replies, "I'm sorry about today. I wish all days could be great. It sucks that they can't. It's not realistic. And I know I can't really fix anything. That's also not realistic. But I can be your friend. And good friends can make it through anything." Lexi says, "And now you're stuck with me." Nadine smiles, and after a bit more time, they leave to go eat Oreos because you can't eat Oreos and be sad.
True.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. I feel like I've definitely had Oreos when I was depressed, so I don't agree with that statement. But I just want to pause for a second here and just, this scene is so good.
It's so wholesome.
It's just so, the Lexi, monologue got me emotional, and then, Nadine's response was so perfect. It's just, this is a perfect scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. We head to Father Bryce, where he finds Chucky in his office, so he goes to relieve Devin from his punishment. Upstairs, Trevor sneaks into Nadine and Lexi's room to plant some drugs, when a deeper voiced Chucky comes in and punches a hole through Trevor.
Yeah. Just straight through.
It was awesome.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He says, "I never skip arm day."
Yeah. Implying that this is Stick Arm Chucky from episode 1. Also, the Colonel, apparently. After the commercial, Lexi, Nadine, Jake, and Devin find Trevor's body. Devin is pissed because, in his mind, this proves that Chucky is still evil. Even though we heard that was a Chucky that deeper voice, so it's probably not the same Chucky. They hide the boys and Trevor in the closet so Sister Ruth can do her inspection, and then Nadine annoys her with questions about flesh-eating bacteria to try to get her to leave quicker.
And it works.
It does, yeah. Just dealing with Nadine is enough to make her go. Not even finish checking the room, but say they're fine because she doesn't want to deal with Nadine. Which is sad because Nadine's awesome, and it's pretty rude of everyone. We head to Father Bryce's office where good Chucky is confronted by the former stick arm buff Chucky. Because we do have confirmation that the one in the room is good Chucky, kind of singing, singing the unicorn song.
Yeah.
Which also, implies that, also due to a facial reaction earlier, that honestly, good Chucky probably just brought himself down here when he heard that there'd be trouble if he wasn't there. But also, who killed Father Brett, or who killed Father O'Malley, because he didn't look like buff Chucky. So, is good Chucky evil? The world may never know. Tune in next week to find... Actually, no, not next episode. Sorry, next episode has nothing to do with that.
It's true.
But yeah, real quick, thoughts on that episode. It's a good episode. It's a fun one. Yeah, it's cool. It's nothing like super special. Like that one kill's really cool. I love more Nadine is great. Like we already said, that one scene with Nadine and Lexi is like a perfectly done emotional scene. But yeah, overall, just a good episode. Nothing like super, oh my gosh, I love this episode, but fun nonetheless. A fun episode of Chucky. It's hard to make a bad episode of Chucky, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment. Yeah, I did enjoy that little emotional scene between Nadine and Lexi. Very heartwarming. And buff Chucky is certainly interesting.
It's cool. Yeah, it's silly, but
Chucky with abs.
Like also good Chucky. You know, I won't put over good Chucky. I love good Chucky.
Good Chucky is also very adorable.
Hearing once again, just whenever Brad Dourif gets to like show slight different variations of his Chucky, it works really well. Yeah. But yeah, so let's move on to our next episode, which is an episode that I feel like either some people like or they don't. I feel like this episode is a little polarizing, and let's discuss why that may or may not be. Next episode is Chucky Season 2, Episode 4, Death on Denial, which is directed by Don Mancini and is written by Kim Garland and Alex Delisle of Fear the Walking Dead. All of the other crew is the same as the last episode.
Wahoo!
Yeah. We open with Chucky on a talk show set. Welcoming us to a very special episode of Chucky. Where we delve into family secrets, Hollywood sleaze, and the violent, depraved acts of which the human species is capable. All in the name of love. We get a classic, like, title card, like an old, like, silent movie kind of style, that says, tonight's episode, Death on Denial, a Jennifer Tilly mystery. We head to the moment where episode 2 ended, as Tiffany welcomes Glenn and Glenda into her home, as she's cleaning up blood. Tiffany is played by Jennifer Tilly, as well as, I'm going to refer to her as Tiffany throughout the rest of my notes, but a lot of the other cast in this episode will call her Jennifer Tilly. Spoilers. So, because if you don't know, if somehow this is like, you don't know the lore of the series, but found our podcast, 1, awesome, hey, thanks for being here. 2, Jennifer Tilly has been taken over by Tiffany Valentine. The real actress Jennifer Tilly is the one who's supposed to be being... It's confusing, yeah. So yeah,
Tiffany Valentine, who was played by Jennifer Tilly.
Who was played by Jennifer Tilly in Bride of Chucky. Then in Seed of Chucky, they brought in Jennifer Tilly as Jennifer Tilly, who was then possessed by the Tiffany doll.
So now she just gets to be
Jennifer Tilly.
But
also she's Tiffany. She's more Tiffany than she is Jennifer Tilly at this point.
Right.
Glenn and Glenda are both played by Lachlan Watson of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Lachlan, as well as the characters they play, are non-binary. Yeah, you got a actual non-binary actor to play the non-binary characters. I'm not surprised. It's Chucky. This show is pretty, open. As there's some people really mad about how accepting this show is of people. So, but yeah. I think it's cool. It's cool to have that kind of representation for a character that might not have always had that kind of representation. For example, the original Glenn Glenda was definitely still kind of gender fluid before that was a thing we were really talking about, and it was played by a British man who was not at all. So it's cool. They asks. I don't know why I did an S there. They asks what. Oh my gosh!
You did it again.
They ask what she's doing on the floor and ask about the blood. Tiffany says, no, it's corn syrup for a social media photo. Because, her people want her to have more violence in her photos.
Yeah.
Glenda is about to hang their coat, but Tiffany stops them and does it for them because, if you don't remember,
there's a body in the closet.
There's a dead body in that closet.
Yeah.
Tiffany asks if the two of them are dating anyone. Glenda says, yeah, a guy named Paul. Tiffany asks Glenda, how about you? And Glenn replies, we're both dating Paul. Tiffany laughs and says, that sounds complicated. Glenda asks, what about you, Mom? Are you seeing anybody these days? And Tiffany replies, no. Not seeing anyone. I'm too busy. So how's school? Which, if you don't understand why that line's really funny, is because, as we've established, she hasn't left this building in a year. So she's not busy at all.
Busy being in a house.
Knows that.
Every day.
Yeah. And keeping a hostage. It's not easy work, okay? I think we're underestimating how hard it is to be someone with a hostage, okay?
True. Especially a hostage with no arms.
Yeah, you have to do everything for her. Because she's so lazy. What? No? Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Much as incapable of doing anything.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Tiffany ends that sentence with, so how's school? So Glenn replies, great. We're making friends. We're getting straight A's. We're great. Tiffany says, that's wonderful. I've been worried. Glenda says, that makes 3 of us. Tiffany says, you two are so wrapped up in each other, sometimes you forget other people even exist. Me, for example. Glenn replies, Mom, haven't you ever thought about maybe it's not so fun for us over here lately? I mean, you haven't left the house in over a year. There is a 5-inch layer of dust over everything. And your drinking has gotten out of control. Tiffany replies, Glenn, what the hell has gotten into you? Which, you might think I'm replacing a word to say hell because I'm willing to say hell. But no, as you may see later, this episode has a lot more hells in it, maybe for a specific reason, because they had to replace a different word for the sake of a joke.
Yeah.
But I noticed it after, I watched it the second time. I was like, oh my, they say hell a lot more here in places where they normally wouldn't. But yeah. Glenda says, actually, we've been talking to Stan, your accountant. He says you're running out of money. Are you? Tiffany says, I'm doing fine, just like you two kids. Glenda says, Mom, who the hell is Nika Pierce? Dramatic music hits. Tiffany replies, what? And then we head to the Chucky series title card, which is made up of old TVs playing clips of, I think, mostly just season 1 of Chucky. I tried to see if there was any clips of other Chucky movies, but it looked like it was just shots from season 1 of Chucky.
Oh.
Yeah. We then get our classic style title card that says Act 1. Glenda poses an incommodious question. We come back to the dinner table, where Tiffany says, yes, I did know Nika. I met her at one of those charity events I go to. She was a very sad woman and very unhealthy mentally. She was sort of a little bit obsessed with me, but I hardly knew her. That's why I had a new security system installed, just in case. Glenda says, you installed a whole new security system because you were worried that some woman you barely knew was coming after you? Tiffany replies, how many times have I told you the cautionary tale of Judy Foster? Glenn says, it's Jodie Foster, Mom, and gets up from the table. Tiffany says, Glenn, where are you going? You haven't finished your meatballs. Because I forgot to mention, I didn't mention, but, there are Swedish meatballs on the table because that is the only thing Tiffany Valentine knows how to make. And chocolate chip cookies, but that's not for dinner.
Cookies.
Glenn says, phone's dead. I need to charge it. Glenda says, Mom, there's something else I've been meaning to talk to you about. Something else I've been meaning to talk to you about. Yeah, I guess, yeah. So I'm meaning to talk to you. Tiffany interrupts. That's why I was like, it felt weird, that sentence wasn't finished. It's because it's not. Because Tiffany interrupts. Oh, poop. Don't tell me you're pregnant. I'm not ready to be a grandmother. Glenda says, please stop making everything about you. When I was little, really little, did I ever hurt someone? Tiffany says, hurt? What do you mean? Glenda continues, I've been having this dream. I guess it's more like a nightmare. And there's a woman, and she's blonde, and she's screaming because she's on fire, and it just seems like I'm the one who did it. And there's another voice. There's a man, and he's nice. He's encouraging me, and he called me poop face, which, if you don't understand, that's a reference to our previous podcast, because, also that's just he doesn't say poop face, but it's funnier.
Right.
In my headcanon that he actually does always say poop face. I actually think that's funnier. And a clip of Glenda killing Joan from Seed of Chucky is shown during this scene.
Yeah.
I didn't write down who played Joan because it's only archival footage. I'm sorry. Actress who plays Joan. Tiffany says, well, you and Glenn have always had vibrant imaginations. Glenda says, you're sure nothing happened? I mean, there must have been something. I mean, some sort of trauma, because, Glenn and I we've never felt whole. All we want to know is why. And Tiffany says, I just want you to be happy. Oh, what is taking Glenn so long? We head to Glenn, trying to enter the locked door of Nika's bedroom. Now we get a quick shot inside of Nika inside. Nika is played by national treasure Fiona Dorff.
Right.
Yeah. They specifically, Glenn, not, I could also be, I guess, referring to Nika there, but no, we're back outside the door. They get startled by Tiffany and her butler, Jeeves, who is played by Tony Napo of Saws 2, 4, and 5, and Land of the Dead, alongside Horror Boy alum, the late Dennis Hopper, who was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. As Glenn and Tiffany walk away, Glenn asks Tiffany, why do you keep that door locked? And Tiffany says it's where she keeps her shoes. That's not true. Tiffany's a liar.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. Tiffany tells Glenn, you're too young to be so suspicious. Not everything has to be an unpleasant surprise. As the party guests yell, surprise.
Yeah.
Tiffany says, what the hell is this? And Glenn says, we wanted a surprise party, so we threw ourselves one. Tiffany says, that doesn't make any sense. Which is, also true.
Yeah.
Glenda says, we figured you wouldn't want to have people over given your Norma Desmond vibes as of late. But isn't it nice to see everybody? Auntie Gina, Uncle Pants, and Miss Stack. Tiffany says, I wasn't expecting this. All the guests are played by themselves. We have Sutton Stack of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, this is one of her actual, her first ever acting role, because that's a reality show where there's some acting involved in the sense of you're faking your life, but she didn't have experience being an actress, which I think she does a really good job for someone who has no acting experience. She plays her role well, of playing herself.
Yeah.
Then we also have, next on the list is Gina Gershon of Showgirls, Face Off, and alongside Jennifer Tilly, Bound.
Wow.
Speaking of Bound, we have Joey Pantoliano, I think? Yeah, they call him Pants, but it's not his actual name, so. Who was also, not besides being in Bound, was also in Bad Boys, and Bad Boys 2, Risky Business, The Matrix, Olive the Other Reindeer, The Sopranos, and Ready to Rumble alongside Horror Boy alums Rose McGowan and David Arquette. But yeah, this is a payoff. We've been talking about Bound in this franchise since Seed of Chucky, and finally something it led to this. I mean, we have two of the other people who were in Bound with Jennifer Tilly back playing themselves in this.
Sure.
Yeah. Sutton asks, "You haven't been avoiding me just over the silly poker debt?" And Tiffany replies, "I don't owe you any money. No, Sutton, I paid you back." That's what it says. Gina asks, "Jen, what's going on? Really? Are you okay?" Tiffany says, "Nothing is going on. I've been busy." Gina asks, "Doing what?" Joey says, "Come on, kid. You're amongst friends. Now, if you've been holed up here waiting for a facelift to settle, or..." And Tiffany interrupts him. "Facelift? Joey, what is wrong with you? You come over to insult me?" Joey says, "All I'm saying is time and money well spent." Gina says, "Too busy to call?" Sutton says, "Jen, we have been worried about you." Tiffany says, well, I guess, once again, confusing because everyone's going to call her Jen, but I'm going to call her Tiffany because that's who actually is, controlling the body. Tiffany says, "What is this, a party or an intervention?" And Sutton replies, "Well, if the moo-moo fits." Because she's wearing, by the way, Jennifer Tilly is wearing a moo-moo in this scene. I guess I didn't mention her clothing before, but I guess it doesn't matter for that joke to land. Maybe very confusing if you didn't know what she was wearing. Tiffany retorts, "Well, I wasn't expecting guests, Miss Fashionista." Gina says, "For a year? You, Miss Party Girl, were not expecting guests for an entire year? Sorry, Jen, I don't buy it. Just tell us what's going on." Then the doorbell rings, saving Tiffany from having to answer that question. So Tiffany heads over to the door and answers it, and it's Jennifer Tilly's younger sister, Meg Tilly, also playing herself. Meg Tilly was also in One Dark Night, Psycho 2, and Body Snatchers alongside Horror Bois alums Christine Elise and Arlie Ermey. Christine Elise is from the Chucky franchise, and Arlie Ermey was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot timeline.
Yeah. Oh, she's also in another movie that they actually mentioned later in the...
That wasn't a horror movie, so I didn't write it down and yeah. I had never heard of it, and it wasn't a horror movie, so I didn't write it down here talking about the stuff she's been in.
Fair.
We then get our Act 2 title card, which says, "Murder, you say?" Jervis serves Glenn, Glenda, and Meg champagne, and seems confused by Glenn and Glenda's looks, as well as their choice to use "we" as their pronouns in this scene and a couple other scenes, even though later they do say that they use "they" pronouns. But in this scene, when referring to themselves individually, they say "we," which has really confused me too for a second. Because there's a point where, I think Glenn answers first, "Oh, we would like champagne," and then Glenda says, "We would also like champagne." It's I've never heard someone use "we" pronouns, which, hey, I'm sure if someone's out there and wants to, I'm not knocking that, and I would respect that person. But they literally, these characters later say that they use "they" them pronouns later, so I was really confused. I don't know if it's maybe kind of the whole them feeling like one person, because, spoiler if you don't know, they were one soul split into two bodies. I don't know.
Yeah.
It did feel a little it did confuse me a little bit. We will find out later that this guy is just intolerant, but, it did also confuse me in the moment. Meg toasts to family, and Glenn says, "Aunt Meg, it's great to finally meet you. I mean, we're huge fans." Glenda says, "We want to get into show business, too. Mom always said you were the older one. Is that true?" And Meg says, "No, that's Jen. Plus, I think everyone always assumed I was older because I got famous way before she did. Of course, I did receive my Oscar nomination 10 years before she did."
It's true.
So where is she anyway? Tiffany returns in an elegant red dress, announcing she's ready to party. Tiffany reprimands Jeeves for not guarding Nika's door. She then says to the guests, I know I've been a bit of a recluse this year, and I'm increasingly valuing my solitude. I seem to be entering my Garbo era, which is a reference to Hollywood starlet Greta Garbo, who also chose to walk away from like fame and kind of just become like an art like collector of art personally. I had to look it up because I was like, I don't know what There's a couple references like old Hollywood like people who I'm like, I don't get this.
That's fair.
But it is nice. This is her saying it, not me. But it is nice seeing all you sweet faces. To my babies, happy birthday. Meg asks Tiffany, isn't that your Oscar dress? And Tiffany replies, no, but thanks for reminding me. When I lost to that best supporting actress, Diane West. Meg corrects her, oh, it's Weist.
Weist, yeah.
Tiffany asks Meg, what have you been up to? And Meg replies, oh, seriously, Jen? You've been dodging me for 24 years because clearly I did something to offend you. And Jen, I missed you. Tiffany interrupts, well, now I forgive you. Meg says, for what? That's what I want to know. And Tiffany says, let's not rehash the past. Bygones be bygones. Meg says, no. You know, ever since you did that stupid Chucky movie, it's like that's when you stopped talking to me. Tiffany says, it's not stupid. The Chucky movie was a big hit. She then excuses herself. So I'm going to take a pause here to complain about, I don't understand the continuity here. Because the only movie that's in their world that starred Chucky was Chucky Goes Psycho, which was in 2003. Was when it was being made, because I was like roughly believed that those movies took place in the time they came out, which means that would have only been 19 years ago, not 24. 24 lines up perfectly with the release of Bride of Chucky, which doesn't exist in their world, from my understanding. Because if it does, that completely adds a whole nother wrinkle of me not understanding this continuity of this world. And here's the thing. I think it's probably just a simple, like, meta joke for fans, and I'm overanalyzing it. And yeah, that's what I do. It's a podcast. We're supposed to overanalyze things. And realistically...
Well, there is that, but they do also mention the Bride of Chucky
They do also mention Bride of Chucky, like,
in another episode.
In episode 1. And it's like, so is Bride of Chucky a movie in their world? I don't know.
Guess so.
Yeah, I guess it is now. Or the whole timeline that I thought was a thing is not accurate. I don't know. Whatever. Just pointing out that it does feel like a slight continuity error. Not one that, once again, really takes me out of anything. It's one that if I wasn't doing a podcast, I probably would have just glossed over and moved on with my life. But, because this is a podcast and I want to be, a little cynical butthole, I'll bring it up. Yeah.
It's not a lot of pause.
Yeah, if I want to be a cynical
when they are there.
If I want to be a cynical butthole about really bad things, I have to also point out flaws in the things I enjoy, or I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. If I want to complain about the crappy timeline in Texas Chainsaw 3D, I have to also point out the timeline issues here. Because if not, I'm a hypocrite, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. So yeah, she excuses herself. We come to Jeeves, who comes up to Joey and says, I got it, you're Ralphie from The Sopranos. Joey replies, that is a character I played once. He actually played it in 20 plus episodes, but I get what he's saying. It's more than once, just saying. I mean, more than once. And he asks, are you a fan? And Jeeves replies, of you? No, hell no. No, I cheered when Tony destroyed your Italian slur, but Joey explains that the word he used is now a slur, and as a fellow American of Italian descent, I'd ask you to go a little easy on the stereotypes. Not all of us are gangsters. Some of us are just actors. And Jeeves replies, okay, Ralphie, and winks at him. Joey angrily says, see, it's Joe. Joe, I can see you're still a little confused. Jeeves replies, so you're telling me there's not a single actual good fellow in your entire different slur family?
Yeah.
Joey says,
Jeeves just sucks, guys.
yeah.
You can't, if you haven't caught on.
Yeah, he's a little bad. To be fair, I mean, the first slur he uses, like, a bunch of Italians just use, and you might not even realize it's a slur. I still chose not to say it, but, you know. The second one, though, straight up just a slur. Never heard it as anything but a slur, so...
Yeah.
Joey says, not that he can think of. Jeeves says, I thought you were one of those methadone actors. And Joey says, it's not my ethnicity I draw from. It's my nationality. Or it's my natural race. Sorry, not national. It's not my ethnicity. It's my nationality. No.
Yeah, completely different.
It's my natural rage at morons like you. Jeeves then asks Gina if she's a method actor for her harmonica scenes with other girls. And Gina says, Joey, I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but for once, we actually agree on something. This guy's an absolute moron. Jeeves then says he recognizes Sutton, and she says she's a star on a reality show, and he responds, it wasn't a reality show, it was hardcore reality. Laguna Beach, last summer? And Sutton says, I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon, sir. And he replies, no, I swear to God, if I knew you were famous, I would have called you back. So apparently, him and Sutton played some harmonica last summer.
Yeah.
Glenda responds... Wait, what? I think I'm in the wrong spot. I did. I jumped down to a different part. In the dining room, Jeeves asks Glenn and Glenda, what the hell are you two supposed to be anyway? Glenda says, I beg your pardon. And Jeeves says, you look like a boy and he looks like a girl. Glenda responds, Glenn and I are both non-binary. That's kind of the point. We go by they, them. Jeeves responds, yeah, but they, them have always been plural. Everyone, like, in the whole room starts just ripping into him for being behind the times. And Meg says, please show my nibblings the simple respect they deserve. And Jeeves questions nibblings. Glenn explains, yeah, other acceptable gender-neutral terms for niece and nephew are niefling, chibling, and sibkid. Gina says, you are so cute, I love you. Jeeves responds, yeah, it's very cute. And stupid, because those aren't words. The hell is wrong with you people? You're a bunch of rainbow cultists. Okay, he didn't actually say that part. I added that. He didn't say that, I'm sorry. Tiffany comes in, but he is playing the role of the person I play when I bring up the rainbow cult. Yeah. But yeah, Tiffany comes in and tells Jeeves to come with her right now. Downstairs, Jeeves asks who she's hiding, or what she's hiding, sorry. And Tiffany responds, if you must know, my girlfriend and my husband. She then leaves him, and he takes a drink from the champagne bottle. What? Upstairs, Tiffany can't find anyone. And the power goes out. And she goes to see Nika's room is open. And there's no Nika. And Jeeves is dead. I mean, that's okay. I think we're all fine with that.
Yeah.
Meg then scares Tiffany in Nika's bedroom. Then everyone reconvenes at the body. Tiffany plays it up as him being an actor, and it's a murder mystery party. And Tiffany says they're all suspects for the murder and opening of the door. And she then sniffs the champagne bottle and recognizes the smell of arsenic, which is very surprising to Meg. She's very confused on why she knows what the arsenic smells like, and also wonders what's important about the room. And Tiffany has them all head to the living room, or she calls it the drawing room, because she's a fancy lady.
Man.
Well, she's someone who she's trying to act like what she thinks a fancy lady would act like.
Yeah.
After they all leave, she asks Nico, where are you? And we get our Act 3 card, which says a plethora of suspects. Upstairs, in the drawing room, Gina is doing a bad British accent for some reason. Tiffany asks why, and she switches to a French accent. They go through like a couple of the people's different motives. Glenda jumps in with a British accent, continuing Gina's accusation of Joey, which when Glenn, or is it Glenn who does it? No, it's Glenda who does it first. Does the British accent? It's cool because, Glenda used to be British. I like that.
Yeah, true.
Glenda says, Glenn then says, we're kind of Anglophiles. Sutton says that it probably has to do with money. And Tiffany says each and every one of them might have murdered Jeeves over his disrespect to Glenn and Glenda because they all love Glenn and Glenda. And Joey points out that, Glenn or Glenda could have been the murderers. Gina agrees now in a German accent because why not?
Yeah.
Glenda responds, that's ridiculous. I mean, if we killed every small-minded idiot that insulted us, half the country would be dead by now. Yeah, fair. Glenn, in a British accent, says, and we wouldn't hurt a fly, which is a callback to a line from Seed of Chucky. As well as Psycho, which is why it was in Seed of Chucky, because that movie had a ton of references to Psycho. Tiffany heads to the master bedroom due to an alert on her phone. Gina follows her in and starts to feel Tiffany up, I guess is the best way of putting it. Yeah. She's trying to play harmonica, maybe, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
And tells her they shouldn't hide their feelings anymore. Actually nowadays it might actually get them more roles. Tiffany stops her and asks if she killed the butler, and Gina thinks she's trying to roleplay and goes back to her German accent. And then Gina leaves to go get a surprise for her. At this point, Joey comes in, and actually first we have like a random rat that gets stuck in a mousetrap.
Yeah. That does happen.
I guess, actually, I think that might have... The reason that was there was maybe to establish what the movement was in the master bedroom. Because there was something that pulled her there in the first place. Maybe that's what that was supposed to, try to be like, hey, this is what the movement was. Because everyone else was in the living room. It really couldn't have been anyone else. So, maybe that's why this random rat is here. But after the rat, Joey comes in and tries to initiate something with Tiffany, but she leaves the room through his legs in kind of a funny moment. Because he tries to, force himself on her, but which sounds not funny. And it's not that element of it, but it's the way, he tries to, push her head down, and, she just goes all the way down and crawls through his legs. If it was anyone but Jennifer Tilly, it wouldn't work and be funny. But she just it was funny.
Yeah.
Where would I leave off? Joey. There's the name Joey. All right. We head to Glenn, talking to Nika in a secret room in the basement about how she didn't kill the butler. She explains that they can't go out the back door like planned due to the new security system, and they can't even go out of the basement till the power comes back on because they need the elevator. Nika tells Glenn, I can't go back. Glenn says, Nika, I promise you're leaving this house tonight. Then the Act 4 card says, an occurrence from 3 months ago. Tiffany is watching Liar Liar again. This time Glenn and Glenda are there with her until she passes out, I assume from something added to her wine by them.
I think it might just be because she was that drunk.
It also could be. Yeah, it could be. Glenn and Glenda break into Nika's room with lockpicks Gina gave Glenda. Glenda arms themselves with a knife and they head in, finding Nika gagged in a chair. They ungag her, and Nika tells them that their mother is a psychotic murderer who thinks she's in love with me, and she chopped off my limbs, and she kept me trapped in here for a year. And Glenn says, Mom's a murderer? Glenda says, Mom's a lesbian? Yeah, they have their priorities straight.
Yeah.
Nika says she's not who you think she is. Glenn wants to help, but Nika explains she's wanted in 5 states and she doesn't want to have to go back to the asylum, so she can't just walk out the front door. Glenda asks, what did you do? And Nika says, I was framed. Look, I have no home and no family, but before I can just waltz on out of here, which she never would be able to because waltzing involves feet.
Yeah, but she does not have.
Yeah. I need a safe place to go, or your mother is gonna hunt me down. At this point, we hear that Tiffany's waking up, and Glenda goes to distract her. Wrong way. Glenn goes to distract her as Glenda gags Nika, almost forgetting her knife. Their knife. Oh, my bad. Sorry. First time in the whole thing. I was doing really good, and I screwed it up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. Forgets their knife and comes back to grab it, cutting their finger, bringing Chucky to the driver's seat. Glenda has a conversation with Chucky and finds out he's their dad and didn't abandon them like Tiffany said he did, at least according to Chucky. No. Chucky tells them when they're ready for revenge on their mom, come back. He's got a plan, poop face. Glenda asks, what did you just call me? Chucky responds, poop face. I always meant it affectionately. We cut to a card that says, and now we return to present day. Nika gets a phantom pinky itch, saying it's like my brain hasn't caught up to my body or something. Glenn says, sometimes I feel like that, too, like something's missing inside. Nika says, you're a good kid, Glenn. You're definitely not like your parents. Glenn asks, do you know my dad, too? Nika says, yeah. Glenn asks, is he as crazy as my mom is? Nika says, yeah. Then the power comes on.
Yippee!
Yeah.
Elevator.
Yeah, they head to the elevator, and they find Joey's dead body.
Shot through the head.
Yeah.
Aww.
Which brings Chucky to the driver's seat. Nika asks... Oh, I guess... Yeah, I guess Chucky asks, sorry. Yeah. Whatever, Chucky Nika asks, you ready to kill your mom, poop face? Glenn then gets knocked out by the award that Jennifer Tilly was knocked out with in Seat of Chucky. Nice little callback to bring back that award. Being knocked out by Glenda this time, who says, Glenn's a wuss. They never would have agreed to kill Mom. Chucky says, oh, that's too bad. Now, where are my arms? What?
Huh.
No, we cut to commercial. And we come back from commercial. Upstairs, Chucky Nika, now with prosthetic arms, made by Glenda, says, hiya, Tiff. Tiffany says, oh, Chucky, why don't you just die already? Excuse me. Chucky points a gun at Tiffany and says, you first. Then we get our Act 5 card that says, wherein the mystery is elucidated. I don't like all these big words they're trying to make me pronounce on these stupid title cards. It's annoying. I'm illiterate. Don't they know that? That's pretty rude of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. What about us illiterate kids? Tiffany begs Chucky, please, we can still work things out. Chucky responds, the only thing left to work out, Tiff, is whether to shoot you in the head or the heart. Tiffany says, you already broke my heart, Chucky. So Chucky says, okay, the head it is. At this point, Gina, Meg, and Sutton look on, thinking this is all part of the murder mystery game. Chucky says, almost gonna miss you, Tiff. Almost, and pulls the trigger, but the gun has no bullets.
Bum.
Tiffany slaps Chucky, bringing Nika to the driver's seat. Glenn then helps Nika escape out the front door, but stays for their mom as Glenda goes with Nika after telling Glenn to ask who's Tiffany Valentine. As they're making their escape, Nika just narrowly escapes through the gate that's being closed. Glenda climbs over the gate, and they both get into a van driven by Kyle! Who's still alive and still played by Christina Elise.
Yeah.
Tiffany is losing it inside. That's it. That's the end of that part of that. Now we head back to Chucky's talk show, where he's joined by WWE superstar Liv Morgan. Woo! Played by, WWE superstar Liv Morgan. Yeah. I mean, played by actually the woman's real name, but, she goes by Liv Morgan as a profession, so I'll just call her Liv Morgan. Who's wearing a, Chucky-inspired version of her gear, which I thought was cool. Chucky asks, who do you think killed the butler? And she responds, well, I have a theory. It's always the person that you least suspect. So I'm going to have to go with Meg. And Chucky heads to the tape, where we see that Glenda poisoned the butler.
Oh. Yeah, saw that coming from
it's pretty obvious. Liv says, you must be so proud. Chucky says, but Glenda was supposed to kill my ex, too. So who took the bullets out of the gun? Liv asks, Sutton? And Chucky says, you're not very good at this, are you? We then see that Gina killed Joey for going after Jennifer Tilly. So the gun she gave Glenda for her birthday had no bullets because they were all in Joey.
Yeah.
Liv asks if Chucky is upset Tiffany has been playing harmonica with Gina and Joey for years. And Chucky says, yeah, I think I need a hug. And Liv says, you like to be hugged. And they hug. And that's where it ends, okay? No, I'm just kidding. It's cool. What happens next? No, it's not over. Chucky says, now there's just one more thing. The network is concerned fans might have missed seeing yours truly in action. Plus, they probably missed hearing my 10 allotted F-bombs. He asks Liv if she can help him out, and they roll tape of Liv on the Buster Satterfield show, where she says she's always wanted to be killed by Chucky. So they cut back from that, and Chucky stabs her repeatedly, dropping his 10 F-bombs, and that's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty silly.
Yeah, it's silly. This episode's very silly, very campy. My thoughts on this episode. I enjoy it. I like the craziness, the crazy campy story with the Tiffany and all that. Like, it's so weird. Like, this episode is so weird. It feels out of place, but I like it. That's really about it. I mean, I feel like as someone who liked Seed of Chucky, if I didn't like this, there was something wrong with me. Now, other people could, like this and not like that, I feel like. But I feel like if you like Seed, you're going to like the weird meta this with all the super Tiffany-centric story and the super campy. Like, there's a reason this is the one episode of this season that Dom Mancini directed. Because, he had to, get into the really weird campy stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So yeah, overall for the 2 episodes, I enjoyed it because it's Chucky. It's gonna take a lot to get me to not like Chucky.
I also enjoyed this episode. Okay. Actually,
I was worried. Not worried, but I was curious.
Yeah, I know. I think, despite the campiness, I feel like the way it was written, it played really well into the story that was already laid out. And so I didn't really have any issues with that. I think the only thing I found a little bit corny was like the Chucky talk show thing.
That's fair.
It didn't really feel necessary.
I mean, without it, there wouldn't be Chucky in it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is that you needed Chucky in the episode.
Chucky joke at the end was funny.
Yeah.
And I do like the fact that they did the nod to the 10 allotted F-bombs.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. But yeah, overall, I really didn't have any problems with this episode. I enjoyed it overall, and yeah, the 2 episodes fairly solid. The second one being a little bit on the funnier side.
Yeah. There's our thoughts. Next week we're gonna talk about episodes 5 and 6. I don't remember the names of these ones. Didn't write them down. Sorry, everyone. Yeah. Fun fact about these next episodes: the second episode will be the first time I'm seeing it. I mean, I'll have to watch it multiple times before But when I watched this, when I was watching this season when it was coming out, we fell off around episode 5. Not because we didn't like it, just because we got busy. So I have no idea what happens after episode 5. So I'm looking forward to finding out next week what's going on in episode 6. Could it be the first episode I don't like of the show? Who knows? It literally could be. I doubt it, but it could be. Yeah. If you like this podcast, give it a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you use, as long as it's one of the 3 we're on. If you also want to see our faces, we have a video podcast, and you could go over, like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, all that crap, and make our day. It'd be cool. Or not, that's fine. That's at youtube.com/@horrorbois if you want to do that. Then if you want to support us directly and get bonus content or content early, like there's a bunch of
Give us your money.
Yeah, give us our money. Give us our money. It's our money now. Give us our money that we deserve at patreon.com/horrorbois.
Where you can get our content early.
Yeah, and also more content if you give us money. If you give us enough money, we'll give you more content. We'll make it just for you.
Right.
But yeah, that's it. We'll be back next week. I've been Austin, joined by Chris. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye.